Myron Golden style. You see, when you talk about something like 5 episodes, it's never just about the entertainment. It's about the consistency of showing up with something that changes the atmosphere. Every single time those episodes play, they don't just make people laugh, they release something powerful into the room: joy, connection, and hope. Now, here's the first principle. Laughter is a universal connector. You can take people from every background, every culture, every age, and when they sit down and laugh together, walls come down. Strangers start to feel like family, and differences don't seem so wide anymore. That's because joy is not just an emotion, it's a bridge. And when something consistently makes people laugh, it does more than entertain, it heals. The second principle is this: lessons hide in laughter. Think about it. In those moments when the answers seem wild and the reactions take us by surprise, there's a hidden message. Life won't always give you the perfect setup. Sometimes you'll face questions that seem impossible, or you'll be put on the spot with no time to think. But in those moments, how you respond is what matters. The humor reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously, but the lesson shows us that quick thinking, humility, and grace under pressure will always be valuable. And finally, the third principle: consistency creates impact. 1 episode might make you laugh, 2 might make you think, but 5 back to back, that creates a rhythm. That's what makes an impression on your heart and memory. Consistency is what turns a moment into a movement. In life, it's not about one-time effort. It's about showing up again and again with excellence, with character, and with something that uplifts others. That's what creates legacy. So when you consider 5 episodes, don't just see entertainment. See a series of seeds being planted. Seeds of joy, lessons in disguise, and the undeniable power of showing up consistently. Because if laughter can carry that kind of impact through 5 episodes, imagine what your life could look like if you started showing up with the same joy, the same lessons, and the same consistency every single day. Laughter is one of the most powerful forces on earth, yet we often underestimate it. We think of laughter as a simple reaction to something funny, but in truth, it is far more than that. Laughter is a language that needs no translation. It doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak, how much money you make, or what your background is. When something strikes the heart as humorous, the sound of laughter breaks out the same in every culture. It's a universal connector. It's the bridge that crosses differences, the glue that unites strangers, and the healer that softens even the hardest of hearts. When people laugh together, walls come down. Think about it. In a room full of people who don't know each other, there can be a sense of awkwardness or even tension. But the moment someone cracks a joke and laughter begins to flow, suddenly the atmosphere shifts. Barriers that seemed so strong a moment before start to crumble. People who felt separate now feel connected. The shared experience of joy becomes the common ground that no one can deny. You don't have to agree on politics, religion, or culture to laugh together. That's the beauty of it. Laughter makes us human before it makes us different. Joy has a way of unlocking something within the soul. While anger creates division and fear builds distance, joy unites. It binds hearts in a way that logic cannot. Laughter doesn't ask for permission. It bypasses all the filters we try to use to protect ourselves and goes straight to spirit. That's why you can meet someone for the first time, Share a laugh and instantly feel like you've known them for years. That's not an accident. That's the power of laughter doing its work as a connector. The interesting thing about laughter is that it shows us how similar we are, even when our lives look so different. A wealthy CEO and a janitor may not have much in common in their day-to-day experiences, but if they're in the same room and something makes them laugh for that moment, they are equals. The same sound, the same joy, the same release flows out of both of them. And in that moment, position, power, or background doesn't matter. They are simply people sharing something real. That's why laughter is one of the most effective ways to bring people together who otherwise might never find common ground. Have you ever noticed how children laugh so easily? They don't analyze whether something is appropriate or worry about how they'll look. They simply find joy in the simplest things and laugh without hesitation. And when a group of children laughs, it's contagious. Soon the adults around them are laughing too, not because they necessarily understand the joke, but because joy in its purest form is impossible to resist. This shows us something profound. Laughter is not just an emotional reaction, it is a spiritual release. It carries energy that spreads beyond the person who starts it. One laugh can ripple through a room until everyone is caught up in the wave of joy. When we laugh together, we declare without words that we are not so different after all. We declare that despite our struggles, despite our hardships, there is still something in life worth smiling about. And in a world where division seems to be at an all-time high, where people are constantly drawing lines to separate themselves from others, laughter remains one of the few forces that can still bring people back together. It reminds us that humanity is bigger than our disagreements. That is why shows, events, and gatherings that create genuine laughter have such a lasting impact. They do more than entertain us. They connect us. They remind us that we are not isolated beings walking separate paths, but part of a larger human story. And the chapters of that story that are filled with joy and laughter are the ones we remember most vividly. So if laughter is this powerful, the question becomes, how intentional are we about sharing it? Do we create environments where laughter can flourish? Do we look for opportunities to spark joy in others? Or do we let the heaviness of life steal away, the one thing that can reconnect us? The truth is, laughter is a gift, but it is also a responsibility. Each time we choose joy, we give permission to others to do the same. Each time we allow ourselves to laugh, we become part of the bridge that brings people together. Laughter is not just about humor, it's about healing. It's about connection. It's about remembering that beneath the titles, beneath the differences, beneath the walls we build, we all long for the same thing: to feel understood, to feel connected, and to experience joy. And nothing delivers that faster, more powerfully, and more universally than laughter. Laughter is not just about comedy. It's not just about the punchline or the funny moment that makes us double over and clap our hands. Behind every burst of laughter, if you look closely enough, you will find something much deeper. A principle, a life lesson, a truth about how to live with more wisdom. That is why laughter is so powerful. It entertains on the surface, but it teaches underneath. Think about the funniest moments you've witnessed. They often come when things don't go as planned. Somebody says something unexpected, or an answer comes out wrong, and everyone bursts into laughter. But if you slow down that moment and study it, you'll notice it's not just about the joke. It's about how people respond when life puts them on the spot. And in those responses, we can see three incredible lessons: patience, quick thinking, and handling pressure with grace. The first lesson is patience. Comedy often works because someone is willing to wait for just the right timing. A punchline without timing falls flat, but when patience is exercised, the laugh becomes unforgettable. Life works the same way. There are seasons when we want everything to happen right now, when we want the breakthrough immediately. But life's greatest victories often require patience. Lauder teaches us this because the funniest moments don't always come from rushing. They come from waiting until the exact right moment. And just like comedy, our own lives are filled with opportunities where patience pays off. The second lesson is quick thinking. Anyone who has been on the spot, whether on a game show, in a meeting, or in a casual conversation, knows what it feels like when the pressure is on and all eyes are watching. The ability to think quickly and respond with something meaningful, or even funny, can change the entire atmosphere. Lauder reveals this principle because those who think fast often surprise us, and the unexpected response is what creates the humor. In life, that same quick thinking can be the difference between missing an opportunity and seizing it. It can be the difference between silence that lets a moment pass and a word that opens a new door. Lauder trains us to value quickness, not in a rushed or panicked way, but in a way that sharpens our ability to respond with creativity and confidence. And then there's the third lesson: handling pressure with grace. One of the reasons we laugh so hard at certain situations is because we recognize ourselves in them. We know what it feels like to be asked a tough question with no preparation. We know what it feels like to stumble in front of others. Yet, when the person under pressure smiles, laughs at themselves, and keeps going, that moment teaches us something profound. It shows us that we don't have to crumble under pressure. We don't have to be perfect to be impactful. We can make mistakes, laugh at them, and still move forward with grace. That lesson is worth far more than the laugh itself. It's wisdom for life. So, laughter becomes a teacher. It shows us patience through timing, quick thinking through wit, and grace under pressure through humility. When you add those lessons together, you realize that laughter is not shallow at all. It is one of the most practical classrooms we will ever experience. Every funny moment carries with it a hidden treasure, if only we are willing to look beyond the joke. And here's the beauty of it, these lessons don't just stay in the moment of humor. They carry into our homes, our workplaces, our relationships, and our futures. The patience to wait for the right time can help us in business and family decisions. The ability to think quickly can help us seize opportunities and navigate challenges. The grace to handle pressure with a smile can protect us from burnout and help us earn respect from those around us. These are not small lessons. They are foundational to success. So the next time you find yourself laughing at something unexpected, don't dismiss it as mere comedy. Ask yourself, what principle is hidden in this moment? What lesson is life teaching me while I laugh? Because laughter is not just about amusement. It is about awakening. It awakens us to truths that we might miss if we were too serious, too focused, or too stressed. Laughter sneaks in the wisdom we need, wrapped in joy we cannot resist. And when we embrace that wisdom, life becomes lighter, stronger, and richer. Lauder may make the moment memorable, but the lessons hidden inside it can make your future unstoppable. Impact doesn't come from a single moment. It doesn't come from one big performance, one burst of effort, or one lucky break. True impact is born out of consistency. It's just the daily repetition, the ongoing rhythm, the steady flow of effort that leaves an imprint on people's hearts and minds. Whether it's one show or 5, whether it's one action or 1,000, the power lies not in the moment itself, but in the consistency that builds behind it. Think about it this way. Anyone can make someone laugh once. Anyone can deliver one powerful message, one good performance, one encouraging word. But when that moment is repeated, when it happens again and again, suddenly it begins to shape how people think and feel. That's why 5 episodes leave a deeper mark than one. That's why someone who consistently shows up with humor, wisdom, and character doesn't just entertain people. They impact them. Consistency creates memory. Consistency builds trust. And consistency forges legacy. Let's look at the principle of humor first. One funny story might make you laugh for a moment, but consistent humor, time after time, has the ability to transform an atmosphere. Think about the people in your life who always make you laugh. You don't just remember the joke they told, you remember the way you feel when you're around them. That's because consistency in humor doesn't just create entertainment, it creates identity. You know them as the person who brings joy wherever they go. And that identity is what makes the impact last. The same principle applies to wisdom. Anybody can stumble across a wise statement once. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. But true wisdom shows itself in repetition. When someone consistently speaks words that uplift, guide, and correct over time, those words form a foundation you can stand on. It's not the one thing they said. It's the fact that every time they opened their mouth, there was value. That's what transforms wisdom from being a random quote into being a lifestyle. And then there's character. This might be the most important of all. One good act of character can inspire someone for a moment, but consistency in character inspires generations. When people know they can count on you, when they know you'll be the same in public and in private, when they know your yes means yes and your no means no, that consistency is what builds trust. And trust is the currency of impact. Without it, nothing lasts. With it, you can influence lives long after you're gone. Now here's the truth, consistency is not glamorous. It's not always exciting. In fact, it can feel repetitive, boring, and unnoticed. But the results of consistency are never small. A seed watered every day grows into a tree that provides shade for years. A person who practices their gift daily becomes a master that others look up to. And a life lived with consistency becomes a legacy that echoes far beyond the years it was lived. That's the hidden beauty of repetition. It doesn't just create habits, it creates history. Sometimes we undervalue the power of showing up repeatedly. We think if it's not big, it's not worth much. But consider this, most people don't remember the specific words spoken in every conversation, but they remember how consistently you were there for them. They don't recall every single episode of their favorite show, but they remember the consistent laughter it brought them. In the same way, people may not remember every action you take, but they will remember the consistent character you displayed. That is where impact is formed. Consistency also teaches discipline. to keep showing up when it's easier not